Okay, so who celebrated Halloween? Parties? Pass out candy, trick-or-treating? Okay, yeah, that's cool. So a fun fact. So alone on Halloween, $2.6 billion worth of candy is sold on Halloween. 2.6 billion. That's a lot. Well, I've loved Halloween, and I always celebrate it every year. And I'm sure most of us have too, with pumpkin patches, haunted houses, or, you name it, dressing up. I've participated in all of these, and I love Halloween, so I thought I would research about it. Halloween has been around for years, but we don't really ever ask ourselves, why do we celebrate it, or what does it mean? So today I'll be talking about its origination, how it migrated over to America, and how we celebrate it now. So, it's been celebrated by the Celtics people in 5 BC, which is the people from Ireland. And November 1st was marked as their New Year's Day, and of course October 31st being the day before, it was known as the Day of Death. According to Logo Research page, October 31st was known as Samhain. It was named after the god of death, that it was believed that he would gather souls of those who's passed and remember them, of course. We know he was represented as a skeleton, and of course we recognize him with a skeleton and a sickle in his hand, known as the Green Reaper. Spooky. So, according to Logo Research page, during October 31st, people wore masks to protect themselves when going outside because of those spirits that were lingering in the earth bounds. For Druids, Celtic priests, it was easier for them to have those spirits around because they used those to tell fortunes and predict the future. And these predictions were important for those people because it was a source of guidance. On history.com, it was believed that Druids built bonfires, burned crops, sacrificed animals for those Celtic gods from before. During these bonfires, costumes were worn that were made out of animal skin or heads because it was easier to sacrifice and give to those gods before, and it would give you a better fortune. After the bonfires, they would relit them again, and it was to protect them from the harsh winters that were to come. Fast forward to May 13th, 609 AD, Pope Boniface V established Martin's Day, then moved to November 1st by Pope Gregory III around 741 AD, where he incorporated All Saints, which is now known as All Saints Day, November 1st. It was known as All Hallows or All Hallows Mass, which all translated to All Saints, and then eventually it was All Saints Day. Samhain was All Hallows Eve, and then eventually became Halloween. Well, how did it come to the U.S.? According to History.com, New England colonies broke away from Britain and came to the U.S., making them bring their traditions. But because the Protestant beliefs of America, it was limited to Maryland and some southern colonies. It still wasn't celebrated in the middle of the 19th century, but during the second half, it started to become more normalized as people were still fleeing from the potato famine that happened in Ireland. And since they were the people who had the core roots of Halloween, they were able to establish and officially make it Halloween. During the 1920s, Halloween became dangerous and as it roared out. In the book, Halloween from Pagan Ritual to Party Night, written by Nicholas Rogers, he wrote that some children aren't allowed to go trick-or-treating because of how older kids looked upon it. Rogers wrote, quote, "On a typical Halloween spree, fences were destroyed, signs and gates removed, roads barricaded, trolley carts immobilized, street lighting smashed, and outhouses tipped," end quote. He talked about how the police were always on alert and how sometimes they would even need special enforcements because of these kids taking the meaning of Halloween into making it bad. But after, from the 50s to the 70s, it started to become more normal, especially during the 70s as Halloween became a movie series that actually got into a bigger phenomenon. But that's a different subject. Rogers also explained that during the how did we celebrated it? During the 1950s, the baby boomer era, more children were being made, and a lot of people believed that it was cool that kids were able to knock on doors and get free candy. So a lot of children were being dressed up. Rogers explained in the book that it was believed that if kids were able to pretend and indulge in their imaginations, it would help them to pretend and not actually be their character, but to have fun and ask for candy. He wrote, quote, Halloween parties and parades at school are an important fixture of the fall term, one of the first large festivals that children might experience out of their own home experience. So I'm pretty sure most of us were able to experience going to school and showing your costume to your friends, going to parade and getting candy, which was cool. But for some of us, it's about like family. Like I said, pumpkin patches or going to decorate your home, trick-or-treating or passing out candy with your family was something that most of us have done. Trick-or-treating. Why do we do trick-or-treating? Well, trick-or-treating is a revival Samhain practice of leaving goods for those who have passed. And if you didn't leave those goods, those ghosts would play tricks on you, hence trick-or-treat, right? Well, how we've impacted Halloween. On the National Retail Federation survey, it was generated that $8.8 billion was collected this year, averaging about $86 per person. So 69% of people said they would participate in Halloween, 68% of people bought candy, 49% decorated their homes, 47% dressed, 44% carved pumpkins, all the way down to 17% of us dressing our pets. Yes, I'm sure some of us have done it because we love our pets and we want them to experience the same. Well, that all equaled up to $3.2 billion worth of costumes, $2.7 billion on decor, $2.6 on candy, and $390 billion on greeting cards. And of course, for us online shoppers, you could online shop for Halloween, as it was recorded that 35% of people this year were online shopping for decor and other things. As I conclude, we have adapted to Halloween and the growth of it has been impeccable. Now that I've talked about the history, the migration, and how we've made moderations, it's been cool to research and learn about why we really, or what were the true rituals of Halloween. It is important to learn that although some holidays are not just what they seem, like passing out candy or opening your gifts on Christmas, it is important that if you are interested in something, you could look it up and you might be even more fascinated than you already are in it. So thank you.